Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So please subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. Thank you very much to everyone who has already subscribed. Okay, so let's continue here and let's take this view and use this to mark the test. So let's log in as a teacher because this is a student login, and let's go to teacher and see what the teacher can see here once a test is submitted. Now before that, there is an error that I saw earlier where if I log in as admin, things don't work out. So let me see what we can do about that. So on the menu, to mark has an issue, and this issue is inside the tests model on line 125. So let's check the tests model, line 125. Where is this? 125, right here. So the error says undefined variable school ID. So it's saying it doesn't know what school ID is. So where are we getting school ID anyway? Yes, get to mark count. So why is it that it worked? Oh, okay, so I see why it doesn't work, because normally when you're not an admin, it passes through here, but in this case it's going through this side. So that's where the problem is, school ID. So how did we get the school ID here? Because I'm sure, or we are not using school ID, are we? No, it seems we are not using the school ID. Now this is not an issue, because in the row of in the student row, or in the row of the user that's logged in, there is always the school ID, so we can get it from there. So let's just do this and say auth like this and use our get, and then we get whatever we want from there, school underscore ID. Remember that it's a function. So let's see if that works. Okay, great. That solves the problem. So let's see, to mark, and those are the tests. Those are the only available tests. So admin will see everything. And there are tests here. To be marked, to mark. Okay, cool. So for now, what we want to do is let's log in as a teacher. So this teacher is Mr. Vibe at yahoo.com. Password, yes. Let's go to mark. So he has to mark this one. Now let's send this to the correct place. Now if you look at the link here, it only has the test ID, but we need more than that, because we need to know what test we're talking about and which student we are trying to mark here. That way we can read better from the database. But let's look at this file right here and change that to instead of single test to mark test. So let's find this, to mark. Let's go to the views, to mark view, and this sends me to the to mark inc. So let's click that one, and let's see here. Mark this test. Where is that? It's right here, mark this test. So this is a thing here. So instead of single tests, we say mark test, and then this is all good, but we need more. So I'm going to put a slash here, and that will be, let's see, root. Okay, the slash should be after this. Let me just duplicate this from the slash to the whole text and the closing tag as well. Duplicate, because this is HTML and this is PHP in here. Now instead of the test ID, this should be the user ID. But then we're not getting this from the test row, are we? We're supposed to get this from the wait a second. What is this checking for? Student. So there's a student value here already. So student name, test name, then student name. So test detail test and then student name. So it's inside test row user. That's the one right there. So I'm going to copy this and let's come down here and let's paste. Okay, so test row user ID, but we've doubled these guys, so careful there. And let's refresh. Let's see here. So everything looks fine. There are two IDs in the link this time, separated by a slash. So if I now click on this, of course I will get controller not found, but not to fear, because now we have to convert tech test to mark test. So let's begin that process, and I'm going to go to techtest.php, copy everything that's here. Yeah, looks like we need all of it. Controller, new file, paste. So let's change the name first of all to mark test, and let's save this. Just like tech test, we change that to mark. Save and mark here. Okay, cool. Looks like we're in business. So everything here will remain the same pretty much, except the view should be mark test like this. Okay, cool. Now let's go down here and create that tech test. Where is tech test view here? Tech test view. This is the one. So copy everything from here, create a new file in the views, paste, save, and save that as tech dash test dot view dot php. So instead of tech test, it's mark. Sorry. Alrighty then. Now this also includes a few other files like tech test tab view, because if I don't show this, let's refresh now, you will see we get something, but there's some missing content, which is wait, what's going on? Okay, a few other issues happening here, but not to worry. This is showing tech test tab view, but it should be mark test tab view. So let's get the same tech test tab view include and copy it and change the tech to mark. New file, paste, and let's save this. Tech test, where is that? Tab view, but let's change that to mark. Save. Good. So hopefully that's not too confusing. All we are doing really is changing all the files that have tech test to mark test. That's really it. So there's like one tech test. There are two of them in the view, and that should compare to the same mark test, which is two of them as well. Okay, so with that we are good to go. Let me now close all the files that are open. That way we can concentrate on the errors. So let's start with the error at the top. Always start with the error at the top, because usually once you fix that, it will fix a few other errors below it. So attempt to read property user ID on Boolean on line 139. So it's saying the value that we're trying to get user ID from is a Boolean, which means it's either true or false. It's not really an object, so we can't get something from it. So let's look at 139 and see what code is there. So mark test, where is that? Mark test 139. Let's go to 139 right here, and it's saying it can't find user ID because we're trying to extract it from a Boolean. So this means answered test returned an empty. So let's figure that out. Let me select this and let's see what's going on. So answered test is go to test, get answered test. Now what are we using? So we are using the currently active user's ID to get a test that they actually did. Now this is not going to work because the currently logged in user is the teacher and not the student. So we need to get that user ID from the URL as we have already added it there. So let's get it from there. So how do we get it from there? Simple and straightforward. We use, let's go to the top. There's one ID. This is the ID for the test, but then let's put user underscore ID here. Okay. So let's make sure that isn't conflicting with any other variables that we have, and it doesn't look like it's doing that. Okay, so that is good. Now we need to replace all instances of get user ID or this auth get user ID up to there. Yeah, we need to remove all these and replace with user ID. So let me copy this and let's look at auth get user ID here. So yeah, that's what we need to do. So select all of this by pressing Ctrl D after you select the first one, and then just paste like so. Okay, so let's see if we get rid of those errors. Okay, and as you can see, the errors have been gotten rid of. The only problem is we have 0% answered. This test has been submitted. So we know the correct student here. If we go back to mark and I click on mark this test, you see here it's guy dude, that's the correct student. If I click here, this is the correct test, but why does it say 0% answered? And at least it's showing all the good stuff here. The answered percentage is the only thing that's off, but everything else seems cool. So the next thing we need to add is, that is after we fix this, is to add something for the teacher to mark here so they can click whether this answer is true or it is false, either correct or wrong answer. And not forgetting an auto mark button here, because we want the teacher to click auto mark first. That way the website will mark the test where there is a multiple choice question or where the answer was already provided. So if the teacher already provided what the true answer should be, it should mark that. And if not, if there's no answer given, it should leave that for the teacher to answer, and then it should write a percentage of what it has marked already. That way the teacher has less work to do, because he just has to mark those questions that didn't have answers and only to proofread where the website might have gone wrong, maybe marked somebody wrong when the answer is correct. Then the teacher can easily change those. This is all to reduce the work of the teacher. So let's do that in the next video.